Okay, so we are going to talk today about angle measures and segment lengths, chapter 12, lesson 4. However, we're just going to talk about the measurement of angles. So we've got a couple more theorems, tons of theorems circles in this chapter. Later we'll make some kind of graphic organizer to help us keep everything straight. But we're going to talk about today angles inside, or in this section, inside the triangle. So I've got angle 1 and I've got angle 2. Okay. I can find them. Angle 1 is going to be 1/2 the arc that it intercepts plus the other arc that it intercepts. So arc NO, the measure of arc NO, plus the measure of arc QP. Okay. Angle 2, same idea. This time it's going to intercept this arc in this arc. So the measure of angle 2 is going to be 1/2 the measure of arc OP plus the measure of arc NQ. Okay. So when they're inside, we're going to add and find the average of those, basically. So let's look at some examples. So I've got my angle X. Notice the difference between this and other angles that we looked at is this is not a central angle. These aren't central angles. So this is why we can't say that they are the same. Remember before, if we had the center marked, that our central angles were the same. So you see the difference, we have no center marked here. So we have to use the formula stating that X is going to be equal to 1/2 the sum of the angles that it intercepts. Okay. So X is going to be 1/2 of 190 degrees, and 1/2 of 190 degrees is 95 degrees. So X equals 95 degrees. Pretty simple. And I think all of these formulas are straightforward. It's just having all of them in one place. So now let's go ahead. This is a little bit different. I've got my inside angle here of 55, so I know what that is, and I'm trying to find the measure of this arc here. So 55 is still going to be 1/2 of the sum of those arcs. We just don't know one of those arcs. The easiest thing to do here, I think, instead of distributing, my opinion, is to multiply both sides by 2. Because if I multiply both sides by 2, I get rid of that fraction and I get 110 equal to 75 plus X. And then I just need to subtract 75 from both sides. And I've got X equal to 35. So X is 35 degrees. So we're just plugging into the formula in a different place and solving. You guys are pretty good at that. All right. Now, these are angles are outside the circles. So let's just call these angles 1, 2, and 3. And it's a really simple formula to remember, okay? My angle measure I say is always equal to 1/2 FARC minus NARC. Well, what is FARC and what is NARC? FARC is far arc, and NARC is near arc. So again, we're going to be looking at the arcs that they cut off. In this first example, it's this arc here, and then this arc here. Okay. So if we were going to find the measure of angle 1, it would be 1/2. The far arc would be arc AD, and the near arc would be arc BD. So what we're looking for is we're looking for where these tangents or these secants are hitting the circle. So here is one arc, and then here is the other arc. So the measure of angle 2 is going to equal 1/2 the measure of arc EG, and we actually have to go through another point, so let's name this one H. So the measure of the major arc EHG plus or minus, I did say minus, so minus the measure of arc EG. I know you guys are laughing at me because I missed that minus. 3, the measure of arc 3 is 1/2 times my far arc again. Farc is the measure of arc KJ from here to here, and then the near arc is arc HI. All right, so one formula, 1/2 Farc minus NARC in 3 different situations. So of course, let's look at some examples. Okay, so I've got these two secants, my far arc minus my near arc. So X equals my far arc, 1/2. My far arc is 75 minus 15. So X is going to equal 1/2 times 60, which is 30 degrees. So X is 37 degrees. 30 degrees. All right. Again, we've got our far arcs. Notice here, this is where my tangent hits it, all the way to where my secant intercepts. And then got this arc here. Colored pencils helps a lot. So I've got the measure, I've got angle 30 equals 1/2. The far arc is Y and the near arc is 62. Again, I would multiply both sides by 2 so that I've got 60 equals Y minus 62. And if I add 62 to both sides, I get 112 equals Y. Now this might not look like the same kind of example, but it really is. All right, and we're trying to find X. Now here's the deal. I've got this cut off. I've got this cut off. Okay. These mean that these angles are congruent. Okay. So these arcs will also be congruent. So this arc is going to be X. So what I can do is I know that this is 112. And I know that those are X. And we really don't need much of anything else because I've got X and X. So all 3 of those should add up to, well, 360 degrees. So 112 degrees plus 2X equals 360 degrees. So if I subtract 112 from 360, I'm going to get 2X equals 248. And if I divide by X, I know that X is going to equal, or if I divide by 2, 124. So X is 124 degrees. All right, last example. This time we've got a little bit of algebra in here. here's my one arc, and it is 26x minus 5. My second arc is right here, and it is 7x minus 2. So a lot of algebra in here. These are vertical angles, so we know that this angle right here is 9x plus 4. So if I set it up, 9x plus 4 equals 1/2 times the far arc, 26x minus 5, minus the near arc. And it's pretty important that you put that in parentheses because we're subtracting that whole thing. You can multiply by 2 real quick if you wanted to. So you would get 18x plus 8 equals 26x minus 7x is 19x. Negative 5 minus a negative 2 is the same as negative 5 plus 2, so it would be plus 3. If I subtracted 18x from both sides so that I have a positive x, I'm going to get x8 equals x plus 3. And then if I subtract 3, x would be 5. Okay, so we can do a little bit of algebra. And just a hint, there's probably quadratics in your homework tomorrow. All right, so we had angles inside a circle. And it looks kind of like this. I always say inside, they're coming together. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to 1/2 x plus y. And then when they're outside the circle, whatever the angle measure is equal to 1/2 the far arc minus the near arc. Okay, far arc minus near arc. Have a very good day.